Hello and welcome to Virtue of Tech. In this video, we are going to be taking a look at this cyberpunk inspired mini PC. It features a Ryzen 7 7840HS CPU, but you can also pick this up in other configurations as well, including the Ryzen 8000 series CPU as well. The other thing that I've also noticed about this mini PC is it also exists in different brands. So we've got the I think Chatreey Mini PC. You've also got one from AOOSTAR God78, and there are a few other ones as well that are also effectively just rebadging this mini PC. And what I like most about it is the Ryzen 7 7840HS CPU that also comes with the AMD 780i GPU, and you've also got a USB 4.0 port at the back, which supports speeds of up to 40 gigabits per second, which is really nice to see at this price point, especially for a mini PC of this size. Inside the box, it comes in some really nice soft foam packaging, and then you've got the leaflet, the mini PC, and then you've got the last little box over here. It does come with a 100-watt Hotkeys USB Type-C power connector, and then I've also got the UK power plug. Lastly, you have some screws. You've got a aluminum heatsink, as well as some thermal pads for the NVMe drive, and yeah, just a bunch of other screws. The mini PC itself, really nice to look at. I did opt for the bare bone version, which means my one did not come with any SSD or any RAM installed. The top grille is a standout design element on this mini PC. It looks really appealing. You do have the CyberPunk branding on the top, and you've also got all these perforated holes, slits, and cutouts. You have a 90mm downward firing fan at the top, so this sucks in cool air from the top and then gushes it out from the right and left side. On the front of the unit, you've got a power button, 3.5mm audio jack, as well as two USB 3.0 ports, as well as a USB 4 port as well. This is really nice to see, as it is a 40 gigabit per second port with support for Thunderbolt through USB 4.0. You've also got a RGB switch over here as well. This lets you cycle through the RGB and turn it off if you need. At the back of the unit, you've got a 2.5 gigabit LAN port from Intel, and you've also got a Realtek 1 gigabit Ethernet port, HDMI, display port, another two USB 2.0 ports, and then the USB-C for power. Removing the back plate, you see another small fan. It also comes with a Realtek Wi-Fi and Bluetooth adapter. You do have two DDR5 DIMM slots with support for up to 5600 MHz DDR5 RAM in dual channel, and a Gen 4 NVMe slot. So I have just applied the thermal pad to my NVMe drive, and then this can just slot onto the top. Like so, and then you've got these rubberized bands just to secure it in place so it doesn't fall off or go anywhere. There you go. And then that's it. I've now got the RAM installed, and I've also got the NVMe drive installed. I'm now going to put the rear cover back on, and we're good to go. You do also have the screws included, and you've also got these rubber feet which plop on. You've also got these rubber feet included. I'm not going to put them on right now, but once you do, put the screws in and put the rubber feet in. Like I was saying, I do have the bare bone configuration, so as I am installing my own drive, I do need to install Windows, so I do have my own USB stick, which comes with the Windows 11 installation media. You will also need to install drivers for the Intel 2.5 gigabit Ethernet adapter, as well as the Realtek Wi-Fi card. I found the best place to really get them is just the ASUS website. If you are looking for drivers, I will just include them in my written review over at virtuohub.com. The first game that I'm going to be benchmarking is Fortnite. This is a really popular title that a lot of casual gamers, as well as professionals and esport players also play quite frequently, and I do have it set to 1080p DirectX 12 and everything else set to low or off. I am just going to be jumping into a solo match, and let's see what sort of performance you could expect out of this thing. Fortnite does use Unreal Engine, and that's a pretty well optimized game engine, so I am expecting pretty playable performance here. And Epic Games as well, they obviously want this device to run on as many devices as possible, so we should be seeing good performance. So starting off, I am at the dropship, and what I'm seeing right now is around 83, 68 frames per second. Of course, a scene like this is a lot more GPU intensive, so once we land, we should get a better idea of the level of performance we can expect when it comes to, you know, a more realistic playstyle. And yep, as we can see already, the frame rate has started to creep up already. The GPU power draw is about 44, 45 watts, and the GPU utilization is also about 91, 80%, which means that we do have a CPU bottleneck here. And this is something that I noticed in another game as well, which you'll see later on. GTA 5 was also CPU bottlenecked. But jumping back to Fortnite, I am getting a very playable 100 frames per second. I'm seeing peaks of over 120, and yeah, at this low graphical setting at 1080p, Fortnite is really playable. So if you are buying this to do a bit of work on, maybe you're a video editor, or maybe you're a developer, or maybe you just want to do some college assignments or just general use, you can play games on it on the side casually as well, especially if you have friends that are playing on PCs or on other platforms. Fortnite's, of course, crossplay. You can jump into a game with them and start playing. You should have no problems with it. I didn't get very far. The next game that I wanted to jump into was Apex Legends, and this is a game that I enjoy. I actually like playing this game, and I'm running this at 1080p with the texture streaming budget set to high, and most of the other settings are all set to low. I also set the the rendering resolution to 0. I thought 100% was good, but 100 was basically the target frames per second. So for this benchmark, I did set that to 0. So there's going to be no resolution scaling. I will show you what that means later on, and yeah, I'm gonna jump into a trios match, and let's see how this performs. So the game's loaded now, and I'm going to be selecting my champion, and frames per second, it looks like it's locked at 60 frames per second. I think this is just on this selecting screen, and once the game actually kicks off, it gets unlocked. Apex Legends also starts off with this dropship scene, and again, seeing about 50 frames per second, and this is obviously less than what I was getting in Fortnite, but Apex Legends, you know, it is a bit more graphically intense than the more vanilla look that Fortnite has. Once you jump down and land, it does obviously get higher since there's less for the game to render. And yep, as you can start seeing over here, I have now quickly jumped up to about 60 plus, peaking at around 70 frames per second as well. And the GPU utilization is again 95-96%, so pretty good, pretty high. It means that we're not really being CPU bottlenecked here, like we were in some other games. And yeah, 60-70 frames per second, if you're hovering at this margin, I'll say that it's very playable and you will be getting a good gaming experience from this. And I can also see in some areas of the game, the frames can actually jump higher. I am seeing now 86, 83 frames per second as well. So depending on what you're doing, your frame rate can bounce around a little. The other thing that I did want to show you was active resolution target. If you set it to 100%, then that almost guarantees you 100 frames per second in Apex Legends. So what this is basically doing is lowering the rendering resolution in game. So the quality is going to look a bit worse. So if you look at doors, if you look at textures, you will see that it's a bit more blurry now than it was before. But if you want absolute, you know, frames, if you want 100 frames per second, then you can just turn on that active resolution target, set it to 100, and then you should almost always get 100 frames per second while sacrificing your gaming quality. The next game that I wanted to check out was GTA Online, and GTA Online is a bit of a funny one. On the GTA story mode, you do actually get more frames per second than you do in GTA Online, and this is because of a CPU bottleneck. GTA Online is quite CPU intensive, and I'm not sure how AMD or how, you know, this mini PC is actually scaling it, but my guess is when you look at the GPU power draw 45 watts, and I think the TVT is set to about 53 watts in this mini PC, it is scaling the CPU speed and the GPU speed, the power draw. And when you're playing games, it does look like the CPU doesn't turbo up as high as it could, sorry. And yeah, so this is what you're basically seeing over here is a GPU utilization of about 80%, 82, 83%, which is not good, it's not nice, and it means that there's a lot of GPU performance just being left on the table. And yeah, I'm seeing CPU utilization as well of about 39-40% as well. It might be possible if you use any software like Universal x86 tuning utility or any other program to try and reduce the clock speed of the GPU, reduce the power draw, and increase the turbo of the CPU, just so you can see more of the GPU actually being utilized. But 60 frames per second plus, I'll say it's still playable, but I did notice it dipping to around 50, 55 in some scenes. The last game that I wanted to check out was just Rise of the Tomb Raider, and this game has a built-in benchmark, so I decided to just wrap things up by just running the benchmark and just seeing what we get, how it performs. And this is also running at 1080p with with most of the settings are set to low or off, just to try and get, you know, maximum performance, maximum frames per second out of this little machine. And once we've loaded into the game, the GPU utilization is actually pretty good, very healthy, 97, 98%, which is really nice to see. And frames per second, again, above 60. Right now I'm seeing about 63, 65 frames per second as well. This is very playable, and the game, even at 1080p with everything set to low, it still looks really good. Everything looks great, and yeah, if you're into these sort of story-driven games, you will still have a very enjoyable experience playing it. And there are some dips as the camera's panning around 50, 52, 53 frames per second. But, you know, all in all, it's still very playable. When we're jumping into this outdoor mountain scenery, the frames have actually taken a bit of a jump now. You know, it's peaking at around 75 frames per second. But yeah, I'll probably put it in the range of about 50 to 65 frames per second. Especially when, you know, when there's more content, more items on the screen. So that's the end of the benchmark, and on average it looks like I was getting about 57 frames per second. It took a while to find it, but which yeah, it's okay. It's a playable experience, and the game looks nice as well, even at the lowest graphical settings. So I've had some time to play around with this mini PC, and I really enjoyed using it. I played a bit of Apex Legends, and I ended up spending a whole day just playing it out. It's a lot of fun, and this mini PC handled it really well. I had no issues with it. I'm really impressed with the performance you're actually getting from this, from an APU and iGPU as well. It has no problem playing games like Apex, Fortnite, even GTA Online. It works, it handles it well. I did also test out the PCIe 4 port at the front, and I used this USB for 40 gigabits per second NVMe enclosure from MGY, and I put in a PCIe 4.0 drive, and I got read speeds of about 3,700 megabytes per second, write speeds about the same as well, so it's got no problem. And the front port does indeed do 40 gigabits per second. It is a USB 4 port. I also tested out this portable monitor from VChance, and I was able to get the touchscreen working, get the display out, and give power to it as well. And also the audio and the USB jack on the side was also all working from a single USB-C cable plugged in from the mini PC into the portable monitor. That's it, just one cable is all it took, which was really nice to see. This could be especially useful if you do buy a mini PC for traveling. knowing that, yeah, you don't even need to carry a HDMI cable or a power cord, just a single USB cable and everything works. So it was this mini PC really for, I wouldn't call this a gaming PC, but it can play games no problem, even modern games. At 1080p, it handles them really well, no problem. So if you're a student, if you're studying, if you're working, and you want a high performance mini PC, whether this is for databases or yeah, you can install up to 96 gigabytes of RAM too. So if you are doing database tasks, plenty of RAM is supported here, DDR5, 56,000 megahertz, and yeah, whatever you're doing, for most people, this has got more than enough power for most use cases. And if you want to do a bit of casual gaming or light gaming on the side, if your mate, calls you up, hey, I want to play some Apex, I want to play some Fortnite, or hey, let's go on GTA Online, let's have a bit of fun there. You can do that with this mini PC, no problem, and it can be picked up for a really attractive price as well. And it comes in a really nice package as well that should look pretty cool on your desk. If you are interested in purchasing this mini PC, I would have an affiliate link down in the description below. This helps to support this channel. And thank you for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this video. Take care.